Hi y'all, it's Kimberly here. Thank y'all for showing up to my channel again, and if anybody's new, thank you too for listening or tuning in. I'm going to tell y'all a story. Well, my hair is crazy. I just pulled it back. I just kind of slicked it back. I got a bump right here. I got all these flyaways. I usually wear a hat a lot of the time, but I just didn't do it today. My hair has grown a lot. I cut my hair, I think it was not even a year ago. I cut it right behind the ponytail, you know. It was really short. I just whacked it off one day, got so sick of it, and I was just tired of long hair. But it's grown out a lot. Wow. Okay, oh yeah, my blue shirts. I know I wear a lot of blue shirts. I own a bunch of them. That's my favorite color. I noticed that myself in a lot of my videos. I have a blue shirt on or something blue. I have other colors too, but I'll probably wear something later on that's not blue. I got a story time today, and it's a little bit scary, or kind of weird, bizarre. I don't know if it's scary, but to me, when it was happening, it was a little bit scary. But I was in my mid to late 20s. I can't really remember how old I was, but I was living in a house by myself, and I had two dogs, two big dogs and a little dog. I had a little weenie dog. She probably weighed maybe like 8 pounds. She was a miniature weenie dog, very sweet and cute. Her name was Twinkie. And then I had these two bigger dogs, my pit bull and she was a Doberman German Shepherd mix. And they were very protective, very good dogs. They always barked, or they let me know if somebody was at the fence or something like that. They were always protecting me, and always concerned, you know, if anybody was lurking around or anything like that. And one night, it was probably right before midnight, I went to bed, and I like to stay up sometimes. I'm kind of a night owl sometimes. It depends on, right now I'm working nights, so I have to go to work at night, but if I work days, a lot of times I did stay up late sometimes. And I think it was probably about an hour to 2 hours after I went to bed, so it was probably like between 1 and 2, maybe a little later. And I was kind of halfway asleep, really. I was almost all the way asleep, and the light was kind of coming through the curtains, kind of like the moonlight or something. It wasn't like super dark. It was kind of a little bit, just enough that I could kind of see a little bit. And I was laying on my waterbed, had a queen-size waterbed, and all three of my dogs, they always slept with me, the two big dogs, because I lived by myself, and they were, you know, always wanting them to protect me. And the two big dogs were laying on one side, and the little weenie dog was curled up on the other side. And then all of a sudden, I could sense that my dogs, the two big dogs immediately looked up at the roof, and or at the ceiling, and I didn't hear anything. It was a super quiet night. There was not a sound anywhere. You couldn't hear anything. Just everybody was really quiet in that neighborhood. And my throat is getting dry. Need something to drink real quick. This thing looks huge. It's really not that big. But anyway, my dogs were looking up at the ceiling, and I got a little bit worried, or it was just so strange. Both of them immediately just pointed their noses to the ceiling. And so I kind of looked out for my covers, you know. I was like, ugh. If somebody had been in the house, they would have started barking and freaking out. But this was so strange. And then all of a sudden, I heard like a footstep. And then I was terrified. I was like, oh my God. And first I thought, is somebody in the house? And I thought, why aren't you dogs barking? But they were really scared. They were shaking. My pit bull, he's like super brave, but he just started shaking, and it was just weird that they were like kind of like shaking the bed. I could feel their nervousness and their energy and everything. And the little dog, she's usually a really yappy little dog, and she curled up next to me and was just sitting there, you know, like hanging on to me practically. And the two big dogs, they just kept staring at the ceiling. and all of a sudden I hear a footstep, and another footstep, and it was really slow, like they were walking incredibly slow, but it was, I mean, so clear. It was a footstep, and it was a diagonal. They made a diagonal path from one corner of the room to the next corner. My bed was in kind of in one corner, and they walked over my bed, step by step by step, real slow. And my dogs do not bark. They didn't take their eyes off the ceiling. It was just so scary and so weird. Just a bizarre, bizarre incident. And then I could kind of hear them kind of trail off into the other part of over the other part of the house, like going off towards past the living room and the kitchen. And I just sat there, the phone was in the kitchen. Back then, we didn't have cell phones. We had regular, dial phones or push button phones. So I couldn't get up and get to the phone. I was just horrified, and I was like, oh God, is somebody going to break in? What's going to happen? And it's getting a little dark out here. Kind of scary too. But they never did anything. They didn't break in or anything, and it took a few minutes for me to get the courage up to jump up, and I turned on my bedroom light finally. But this is after a few minutes. I kept waiting and waiting to hear if they were going to try to break in through the back door or the front door, and I had a garage door. So it was really scary, and my dogs were just, I can't believe they were that scared. They knew that it was a person. There's a difference when they bark at a cat or another dog or something like that. And they knew that this was a person. And it's like a myth or something that when somebody walks over you, if you hear somebody walking over you, like over your rooftop, that's a sign that either you're going to die or somebody else close to you is going to die. And it's kind of like I don't know what to call it, a myth or like a little cultural story thing that some people believe in or something. I don't know. It's just passed down. I've heard of people, when I explain that to some people, this is what people explain to me, because I didn't know anything about it until then. I just thought it was an intruder or some weirdo. And they're trying to convince me, oh no, that was a spirit walking over you. And I was like, no, I don't believe in that. It was a weirdo or person. Well, they never broke in. I eventually got to the phone, and I cannot remember for the life of me if I called the cops. I don't think I did, and I can't remember. It was so long ago. But that's not the end of the story. I think I was terrified for the rest of the night. And my years later, well, not too many years, maybe probably about 2 or 3 years later, I moved into another house out in the country, a small house. It was a mobile home, and it was like on a little piece of land. The people who owned it were brick masons, and I lived in the back, and I kind of watched out for their stuff, and it had a big fence around it and everything, and it was on the outskirts of town. It wasn't way out in the country. It was only like a couple miles from like 7-Eleven and the roadway into town. And there were a few houses around, not too many. There's a lot of commercial businesses, like he was a brick mason. There were some commercial shops like mechanics or something, I don't remember, truck mechanics or something out there. And I'll be damned if that didn't happen again. The same exact thing. And I was in the living room this time. I was watching TV. It was late at night. It was like 2 in the morning or something. And both my dogs just looked up at the ceiling, and all of a sudden I heard footsteps again. And I was like, not again. And they just walked over me, directly above me. Then they walked further down. My dogs didn't bark again. They were terrified again. And they jumped off, I guess, the end of the building or something. I kind of heard something kind of like a little rustling or something. So they jumped off and I guess ran away. I don't know. But that was one of the scariest things that have ever happened to me. Not the scariest, I don't think. I've had some close calls with things. I'll give some more story times about some things that have happened to me, but that was just one of the most bizarre things, I guess, that has happened to me. Well, it's getting dark out here. The sun's going down, and I better get out of here. Okay, thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you, and bye-bye.